The leather chairs in the Hamilton and Hamilton law firm's main conference room had witnessed decades of decisions that shaped our city's future. Today, they would witness my father trying to destroy his own daughter's career. My name is Katherine Hamilton, and I was about to be fired from my family's law firm for the crime of having a conscience. The Morton class action suit, my father's voice boomed across the polished mahogany table, was a golden opportunity. Yet my daughter, he spat the word like it tasted bitter, advised them to settle for a mere $20 million. The other partners shifted uncomfortably in their chairs. Uncle James, Dad's younger brother and the firm's managing partner, didn't bother hiding his satisfied smirk. The evidence against our client was substantial, I said calmly, though my heart was racing. The settlement protected the firm and our client from. Protected. Father's fist slammed the table. We're lawyers, Katherine. We're not here to protect. We're here to win. I looked around the table at the faces I'd known since childhood. 20 partners, each earning millions from the firm's aggressive and increasingly questionable tactics. They'd watched me grow up, attend law school, pass the bar with highest honors. Now they watch my father prepare to destroy me. Hamilton and Hamilton has been the city's top corporate defense firm for 50 years. Father continued. We didn't achieve that by being soft. By being, his eyes locked onto mine, compassionate. The word dripped with disdain. In his world, compassion was weakness. Ethics were obstacles. Justice was whatever you could convince a jury to believe. If he only knew what I'd been doing for the past 3 years. The Morton settlement was the last straw. Uncle James chimed in, adjusting his Rolex. But let's be honest, Katherine has never fit our firm's culture. Pro bono work, environmental cases, social justice. He laughed. This is a business, not a charity. I thought about the hidden files on my encrypted laptop, about the careful documentation of every questionable case, every buried evidence, every witness who'd been pressured into silence. 3 years of methodically building a case while playing the role of the naive idealistic daughter. I moved to terminate Katherine Hamilton's partnership, effective immediately, Father announced. All in favor. Hands rose around the table, some quickly, like Uncle James, others hesitantly, avoiding my eyes. In the end, only 2 partners, both women who'd fought their own battles in the male-dominated firm, kept their hands down. Motion carries, Father declared. Security will escort you out, Katherine. Your personal items will be sent to your apartment. I stood slowly, smoothing my charcoal gray suit. Interesting timing, I said quietly, just before the SEC's scheduled review of the Peterson Tech merger. Father's eyes narrowed. The Peterson deal was the firm's biggest case this year, and its most dangerous. I'd seen the real numbers, the ones that never made it to the official filings. What are you implying? Nothing at all. I smiled, picking up my briefcase. I'm sure the SEC will find everything in perfect order, though they might have questions about certain creative accounting practices. Uncle James stood up so fast his chair rolled backward. Are you threatening us? Not at all, Uncle James. Just expressing concern. After all, I've always been too soft, too concerned about protecting people, including this firm. The conference room was silent now, the air thick with tension. I could see wheels turning behind my father's eyes, calculating possibilities, assessing threats. Mitchell, he snapped at the head of security waiting by the door. Make sure Miss Hamilton doesn't take any firm documents with her. I handed my briefcase to Mitchell, who'd known me since I was a child bringing my father lunch. No need to search it, I said. Everything important is already safely stored where it needs to be. Father's face darkened. Whatever you think you have is exactly what a compassionate daughter would keep. I cut him off. To protect her family's firm. The question is, what happens now that you've fired that protection? I walked to the door, then turned back one last time. The SEC reviews the Peterson case on Tuesday. You have until then to decide what kind of firm Hamilton and Hamilton really is, and what kind of legacy you want to leave. The elevator ride to the lobby was quiet. Mitchell kept glancing at me, questions in his eyes. They'll be fine, I told him, if they make the right choice. Outside, the autumn air was crisp. I looked up at the 50-story building bearing my family's name. 3 generations of Hamiltons had built this firm. 3 generations of increasingly aggressive tactics, of pushing legal boundaries, of prioritizing wins over justice. My phone buzzed. A message from Lisa Chen, my contact at the SEC. Everything's ready for Tuesday. Are you sure about this? I thought about the moment 3 years ago when I discovered the first signs of serious misconduct in the firm's files. I could have reported it immediately, but that would have meant the end of Hamilton and Hamilton. Instead, I'd chosen a longer path, gathering evidence while working to change the firm's culture from within. Using my soft approach to steer clients toward ethical settlements, to push for pro bono work, to gradually shift the firm's moral compass. But I failed. The old guard was too entrenched, too committed to their win-at-all-costs philosophy. Now it was time for Plan B. Yes, I texted back. But delay the official review until Wednesday. Give them one more chance to do the right thing. My apartment felt empty that evening, though it was filled with the books and art I'd collected over years of international law practice. I poured a glass of wine and opened my laptop, reviewing the evidence one last time. The Peterson Tech merger documents revealed a pattern of deliberate misrepresentation. Shell companies, hidden assets, inflated valuations, all orchestrated by Uncle James and approved by my father. It was enough to trigger a full SEC investigation, possibly criminal charges. But that wasn't all I had. Years of documenting similar patterns in other cases, witness testimonies, internal memos, a comprehensive picture of a firm that had gradually crossed the line from aggressive advocacy to outright fraud. My phone rang. Sarah Martinez, one of the two partners who hadn't voted to fire me. Katherine, what's really going on? James is in a panic, ordering files destroyed. Your father's locked himself in his office. I closed my eyes. Tell them to stop destroying documents. That will only make things worse. What are you going to do? What I've always done, I replied, tried to protect the firm, even from itself. After we hung up, I walked to my window, looking out over the city lights. Tomorrow, every major client of Hamilton and Hamilton would receive a detailed letter, outlining the firm's ethical breaches and offering them a chance to amend their legal strategies before the SEC investigation began. The question was, would my father and uncle realize what I was doing? Would they understand that even now, I was trying to give them a chance to save themselves? The next morning would bring either redemption or ruin, and for once, compassion would prove to be the strongest force in the room. By 9 o'clock Monday morning, the phones at Hamilton and Hamilton were ringing off the hook. Every major client had received my letters, and the panic was setting in. I sat in my home office, watching the chaos unfold through the digital breadcrumbs. Email servers overloading, emergency meetings being scheduled, senior partners rushing back from vacations. Sarah kept me updated with texts. Conference room is packed. Your father looks like he's aged 10 years overnight. Good. Let them feel the pressure I've been carrying for 3 years. At 10:30, my father called. I let it go to voicemail. He needed to sweat a little longer to really understand the position he was in. Uncle James called next, then 3 other senior partners. I ignored them all. Instead, I focused on finalizing the documents for the SEC. Everything was meticulously organized. Evidence of fraudulent practices, witness statements, internal communications showing knowledge of wrongdoing. But also, crucially, a detailed plan for corporate reform. At noon, Sarah texted again. They're discussing voluntary disclosure to the SEC. James is fighting it hard. Of course he was. Uncle James had the most to lose. He'd been the architect of many of the firm's most questionable strategies. At 2 p.m., my father finally swallowed his pride and sent an email. Katherine, we need to talk. Come to the office. Please. Dad. The please told me everything I needed to know. In 30 years of law practice, I'd never heard my father say that word. I waited another hour before responding. I'll be there at 4. Ring Uncle James and the executive committee. And Dad, ring the real Peterson Tech files. The security guard in the lobby, not Mitchell this time, did a double take when I walked in. News of my firing had clearly spread, but my key cards still worked. I'd made sure certain protocols weren't followed during my termination. The elevator ride to the 50th floor felt different now. Yesterday, I'd been the disgraced daughter being forced out. Today, I was the one holding all the cards. The conference room fell silent when I walked in. Father sat at the head of the table, looking haggard. Uncle James couldn't meet my eyes. 5 other members of the executive committee completed the group. The letters you sent to our clients, Father began. constitute a serious breach. Save the legal threats. I cut him off, setting my briefcase on the table. You have bigger problems. I pulled out my laptop and connected it to the room's display screen. Let's talk about the Peterson Tech merger. The next hour was brutal. I walked them through everything I had: falsified financial statements, backdated documents, evidence of witness tampering. Uncle James started to interrupt several times, but Father silenced him with a look. This is just one case, I said finally. I have similar documentation for 12 other major cases from the past 3 years. Why? Father's voice was hoarse. Why didn't you come to me when you first found these issues? Would you have listened? Or would you have called me soft and brushed it aside like every other ethical concern I've raised? He had no answer for that. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. Tomorrow morning, Hamilton and Hamilton will announce a major internal restructuring. The firm will voluntarily disclose certain irregularities to the SEC and implement a comprehensive ethics reform program. That will destroy us, Uncle James protested. No, I said firmly. Continuing as you have been will destroy you. This is your chance to save the firm's legacy. I pulled up another document, the reform plan I'd spent months crafting. New oversight committees, mandatory ethics reviews, a substantial increase in pro bono work, and most importantly, a shift in firm culture away from win at all costs toward ethical advocacy. And if we refuse? Uncle James challenged. Then on Wednesday morning, this evidence goes to the SEC, the Bar Association, and every major news outlet in the country. Hamilton and Hamilton won't survive that. Father was studying the reform proposal, his expression unreadable. You've thought of everything. I learned from you, Dad, both the good and the bad. The room was quiet as the implications sank in. Finally, Sarah spoke up. Who would oversee these reforms? A new ethics committee, I replied, composed of both internal and external members. And yes, I would chair it. You're blackmailing us, Uncle James snarled. No, Uncle James, I'm saving you. From yourselves. Father stood up slowly. For a moment, I saw not the ruthless lawyer, but the man who'd once taught me about justice and truth when I was a little girl. All those pro bono cases, he said quietly. The soft settlements. You were building toward this. I nodded. Someone had to protect the firm's soul. He walked to the window, looking out over the city where 3 generations of Hamiltons had practiced law. The firm will support the reforms, he announced. All of them. Uncle James started to protest, but Father cut him off. Enough, James. She's right. We lost our way. The next few weeks were intense. The firm's voluntary disclosure to the SEC triggered an investigation. But our proactive approach and reform plan mitigated the damage. Some clients left, but others, impressed by our commitment to change, stayed. Uncle James retired for health reasons, though everyone knew the real story. Father stepped down as managing partner, but remained as an advisor, focusing on mentoring young lawyers in ethical advocacy. 6 months later, I stood in that same conference room, addressing a new class of associates. Hamilton and Hamilton has always been a firm that fights for its clients, I told them. But now we fight the right way. We win through excellence, not exploitation. Through dedication, not deception. The firm's reputation has actually grown stronger since the reforms. Turns out many clients prefer lawyers they can trust. Our pro bono program is now the largest in the city, and our ethical advocacy training program has become a model for other firms. Father stopped by my office last week. The past year has aged him, but there's a peace in his eyes I never saw before. You were right, he said, settling into a chair, about everything. I forgot something important along the way. What's that? That being a lawyer isn't just about winning cases, it's about serving justice. He looked around my office, now larger than his old one, at the awards for public service and ethical leadership that had replaced his collection of victory plaques. Your mother would be proud, he said softly. She always said you had her heart and my brain. I just didn't understand what that meant until now. We sit together sometimes in the evenings, looking out over the city, talking about the future of the firm. He's finally stopped calling compassion a weakness. Instead, he's learning what I knew all along, that true strength lies in fighting for what's right, not just what's profitable. The Hamilton and Hamilton law firm still bears our family name, but now it truly reflects our family's original values. Sometimes the greatest act of love is forcing those you care about to face their mistakes and choose a better path. And sometimes being soft is the hardest thing you can do.